I'm Claire Davis and I'm back with Mental Health Chats, and we're working with you for better emotional fitness. And we're here for the final talk on body image. Hello, Benny. How are you going?
Hello, Claire. I'm well.
That's great. And it's great to have you back, Benny. And this has been a really, really interesting topic, hasn't it? Body image. And it's one I didn't think to include until somebody mentioned it to me. And I thought, yeah, this is quite big. What are your thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, well, as usual, I hadn't really, I hadn't thought about it that much, Claire, and how big it could be. And I listened to the four chats, and I didn't really get a sense of the magnitude of it, because your speakers generally talk about who they are, what they do, how they do it, and what impact it has, and their tips and tools. And I didn't sort of get a sense of the magnitude of it until I started researching it, and it is a really big issue, and it affects a lot of people. It's just it was surprising. Yeah.
It is a big issue, and I think the most interesting thing that I found with all the speakers was when they actually mentioned what causes body image concerns, and that especially came out in Elizabeth and Joyce's interviews. So what I found interesting with that was the social media with regards to that, and social media has got massive over the years. So do you want to tell us a bit about the impact of social media on body image concerns?
Yeah, well, it's mentioned, there'll be a couple of links to reports that I've had a look at, one in the UK and then another one, 𝗁𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 from Deakin University in Melbourne, and he focuses on social media, so that's a good one to look at. But it's really about the importance of social media and people comparing themselves and using that as a benchmark for how they should look, and of course it has a enormous impact on young people, so children and teenagers in particular. Not just them. This is an issue that affects men and women and young people to old people, and I'll quote some figures on the older people as well. But the social media, the UK report talks about holding the social media companies to account on what they portray as in their advertising, and not just on social media, but also in television and other media as well, and about doing that responsibly, and not always just setting skinny people, particularly in ads around cosmetic stuff, shampoos, anything around hair and beauty, clothing, all the models, just setting that standard as a really skinny person, and that's what we should all sort of aspire to. And it really proliferates through social media and some of the social media advertising as well.
And I think because social media has become sort of so big, I was just remembering back to a lesson I had in Year 9 on media. It was in English, and it was where they discussed that the advertising was all aimed at skinny, beautiful people, and how bad it was then. So that was many, many moons ago. But I think it's really got bigger and bigger and bigger over the years. And one of those links, I think everybody who's watching this, please read this link. So what's it called again, Benny? You said it's the Deakin University one.
Oh yeah, the ultimate list of body image statistics in 2021.
The ultimate list of body image.
The ultimate list of body image statistics by 𝗁𝗵𝗆𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 from Deakin University. So yeah, it's just got some statistics in there that'll blow your mind. Yeah. And it's got, and this article actually has a focus on social media at the end, and what we can do around that social media aspect, and the impact of media influence on body image. Yeah. So and strategies for safe social media use. So, empower yourself. Unfollow or unlike pages that may be triggering or encouraging comparison making. Seek out body positivity and educate yourself. They're the three sort of tips in that summary. But I encourage everyone to have a look at that one. It's really interesting.
Great, thank you for that, Benny. And I found, with regards to the body image concerns, Joyce's interview really interesting when she mentioned around about the age of 6, We are influenced
Yeah.
by the people in our lives. And she was, you know, comparing this to her mum, and her mum always being on a diet, and her mum this and her mum that. It's so interesting at that young age how much we are influenced. And the other one that I found so enlightening, and it actually reflects two of the other speakers we've had, was Aaron's talk about body image and men. You know,
Yeah.
the masculinity side, the wanting to look good, all of those. And we've had Jason Spendelow before and Alex Cross, who have also tipped into that with regards to masculinity and looking good, etc. So what were your thoughts? Being a male, Benny, what were your thoughts on
Yeah, look, I thought he was spot on, and you know, that masculine culture he talked about. Men tend to. He talked about being angry and angry tendencies and violence and stuff like that, and expressing themselves, and not sort of sitting down having a touchy-feely discussion about their concerns around their body image. And you know, they sort of try and spend their time becoming more muscular. And yeah, so he just highlighted that, and he was talking about the importance of externalizing, you know, why we feel the way that we do, and creating an okay space to talk about it. And that's just an unnatural space for men. You know, we know from the other chats that we've had, Claire, around depression and anxiety, men in general just aren't comfortable talking about things like that. They consider it a sign of weakness, and they tend to just box those things in. And so that's why it's so important for others to sort of spot the signs and try and draw those things out where we see that people may be having some issues.
And that's why I love the group of Rob Osmond's, which is the Dudes and Dogs group. They go out on a walk, they go with their pet, they go with their dog, and it's so much more relaxed than talking to a therapist. And they end up talking about so many of these issues, which is fantastic. So all you men out there, go for a dog walk with your mates. I think it's a great thing to do. So a few more stats. There's so many stats, as you have said. Would you like to just briefly run through the ones that you feel are the most important, Benny?
Yeah, definitely. Well, in the UK, where a lot of your viewers are, of course, you know, 20% felt shame. This is from a 2019 survey, so pretty recent. 1 in 3 felt down or low, and 19% felt disgusted because of body image.
Yeah.
Concerns, and in the past year, so that was like in a year, teenagers, 37% felt upset, and 31% felt ashamed about their body image. In adults, it was a third of UK adults have felt anxious or depressed because of body image concerns. 1 in 8 UK adults have experienced suicidal thoughts because of body image concerns.
Suicidal. Yeah.
And 1 in 5 adults, 21%, said images used in advertising had caused them to worry about their body image. So that's like a fifth of people, a fifth of those surveyed, and 22% of adults and 40% of teenagers said images on social media had caused them to worry about their own body image. Yeah. So they're just some from the UK study. But just on that masculinity one, one of the ones from you know, from the big stats thing that I was quoting before, 22% of young men engage in muscle enhancing behaviours, including eating differently, supplement use, and steroid use, with the different percentages quoted. But
wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, so you know, in the US, 30% of children and teenagers wanted to gain weight for muscularity purposes.
Wow.
So in young people, basically it's all about being muscly and big, and you know, they're doing things to try and get big. I've got a 14-year-old son, and he's about the smallest in his class. He's on the cusp of puberty, and he hasn't hit it yet, but a lot of his mates have hit it, and they're muscling up. One of his mates has sort of got the strength of a 20-year-old, and he's 14. Wow. And of course, my young fellow Tom, well, he's going, well, when am I ever going to get bigger? So I hadn't really thought of it in body image terms before, but
Yeah.
it's actually happening in my own family, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it's interesting, and yeah.
And I'm wondering actually if those statistics are 100% correct and they're not actually less than what they really are. Because, you know, I'll put both links in. It's really, really interesting. One of them is from the World Health Foundation, and the other one is from the Deakin University. So I think they're really worthwhile reading. And Benny, you mentioned beforehand about the US. Do
Yeah.
you want to just highlight what you said to me about the US before we came on?
Yeah. So in US, 23% of women check their body frequently, and 50% are unhappy with their body image.
Really?
70% of adult women report withdrawing from activities due to body image concerns. And out of 50,000 adults surveyed, 60% of women thought they were too heavy. And
this is in the
30%,
US alone?
yeah, 30% not comfortable in a swimsuit. So, you know, there's just a lot of worried people out there. Basically, with women, it's about they're not thin enough. With men, it's about not being muscly enough.
Yeah.
And
So interesting.
the first thing I do when I get out of bed in the morning, I get out of bed at 5 o'clock and I do 250 push-ups. And now I'm wondering why I'm doing that. Is that because I'm worried about body image? I'm not sure. I think I just want to keep my mobility at my age.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you know, we probably just sort of reflect. I was just surprised in older women in Switzerland, women 30 to 74 years of age, 73% of 1,000 women were in the normal weight range, but 70% wanted to be thinner.
Wow.
And it's the same in Austria. It's just the pattern globally that women want to be thinner and men want to be more muscular. And
so interesting.
But you go, Claire.
I was just so, I loved Joyce's, Elizabeth's and Dr. Serena's when they actually went into detail of how to help themselves. And it comes back to, this has been said in so many of the talks, that self-worth and that self-love. And Joyce went through a couple of exercises on actually loving yourself, looking in the mirror and saying, I love you. And she said she cried. And Elizabeth mentioned about the gratitude diary, which we've mentioned so often, but it's, why don't we have this self-worth and this self-love? Why aren't we loving ourselves for what we are? And those statistics reflect that we don't love ourselves for what we are. And that is a bit of a worry, actually.
I think she said you have to love yourself in order for others to love you.
Definitely.
And I think that's right. And I wrote that down, and I think the gratitude one's really important. You know, overnight, just lie there and think about what you've got to be grateful for. And I wrote down just some sort of like my normal top 3 take-home messages.
Yeah.
You know, aim to get healthier rather than just lose weight per se.
Yep.
You know, it's about being healthy. I haven't weighed myself for months, and I was at one stage when I was feeling a bit heavy. But focus on things that you like about your body. You know, you can't hate everything, even though we're all a bit unhappy about something. And don't be critical of others' appearance, and be really careful with your language.
Language, yeah.
That's just so important. And I just wrote down awareness, acceptance, gratitude, compassion, and grace. And they were some of the things that you're in your chats that came through.
Yeah. And actually that goes back to the eating disorder chats as well, because Hope Virgo mentioned about language and the language people
Exactly.
use. So it is a very interesting topic. So thank you so much for all your hard work on this, Benny. Our next series is starting after this one, and that is on self-harm, which is so interesting as well. And our first speaker is a lady called 𝗖𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, and she actually runs a company called Attention Seekers ? So I'm going to leave it at that because it's so interesting. So thank you very much, Benny, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
No worries. Thanks, Claire.
Bye.
See you.